So today we are going to discuss Marlowe and Shakespeare, the writers of tragedy. As earlier we have discussed the themes, the age and characteristic of the perspective of the Shakespearean age. But today we are going to discuss comparatively the study of Marlowe and Shakespeare, as they are being titled the writers of tragedy. Why they are being titled the writer of tragedy? As earlier we have discussed that no Marlowe, no Shakespeare, no English literature. So they both were in the same age and they have written very comparatively the works of English literature. So today we are going to discuss the comparatively study of Marlowe and Shakespeare, as they are the writers of tragedy. So first of all, we'll discuss influence of Marlowe. So there is hardly anyone who will dispute Shakespeare's great independence of Marlowe, the morning star of English drama. It was Marlowe, more than any other, who performed the great task of drawing English drama from the old rut of morality and the rambling interlude. And it was the Marlowe who broke new ground and paved the way of Elizabethan dramatists and the genuine of Shakespeare. Yes, the influence of Marlowe was a very great element in this perspective, and Marlowe's work and achievement guided and inspired Shakespeare. And J.A. Symonds justly remarks, what Shakespeare would have been without Marlowe. Now, this is not I am saying, this is saying by J.A. Symonds. He is saying what Shakespeare would have been without Marlowe. Okay, cannot even be summarized. So he is saying that we are not going to summarize the Shakespeare without Marlowe. If we are going to exclude Marlowe from Shakespeare, so Shakespeare is nothing. Shakespeare cannot survive without Marlowe. So what alone is obvious to every student is that Shakespeare designed from the first tread in Marlowe's footstep, that Shakespeare at the last completed and developed the utmost and the national embryo of art which Marlowe drew forth from the womb of darkness, anarchy and incoherence. So there were a lot of other things, but Shakespeare was there in all perspective of the things which was being discussed in this age, particularly in drama as well as others perspective of that particular age. So influence of Marlowe was the very first aspect, you can say, when you are going to comparatively study Marlowe and Shakespeare, the writers of tragedy. You can say the influence of Marlowe was the first aspect towards Shakespeare, and Shakespeare was the key note within the hand of Marlowe. So the second one, we can say blank verse, as we are discussing in the terms of poetry, in drama, in literature, in novel, we are discussing blank verse. So one of the greatest contribution of Marlowe to the Elizabethan drama was his blank verse. So blank verse, you can say, basically we are discussing that how both writers are comparatively joined with one another in the perspective of the writers of tragedy. So we can say that influence of Marlowe was the first aspect, and the second aspect was blank verse. So the third one is difference in personality and genius. So we can say the comparison and their influence upon each other may not be taken too far. Both Marlowe and Shakespeare differ greatly from each other in their personality, mental makeup, as well as in their genius. Yes, both were extra genius. Both were having their own personality. Both were having a remarkable personality, and both were genius. Now we can say that if in a class two students are there, one is genius and one is not genius. So genius is going to take other who is not genius, but here is the case is totally different, that both writers are having extracurricular and you can say excellent personality, as well as they are very genius. So both things are intermingled with one another, and these three things have compiled within the writers of tragedy. Basically, these entitled things we are going to discuss, these things make Shakespeare and Marlowe the writers of tragedy. The fourth one is tragic hero and characterization. Yes, as Shakespeare is very famous due to tragedy, and we have discussed that why Shakespeare is still relevant in this age, and we have discussed the three things. Shakespeare's the characters are timeless, themes are timeless, and works are timeless. Same is the thing here, that Shakespeare was all in all in making the characters of tragedy. He was being represented as a tragic hero, and the art of characterization was very up to the mark within both Marlowe and Shakespeare. So this was the fourth one, which makes both the writer very fundamental in the age of that particular age, and the both writer can be said as a writer of tragedy. So the fifth one is art of characterization is the second. This is the separate aspect. The fourth one was tragic hero and characterization within the aspect of hero. Characterization was there, but they were dealing with the characterization of only hero who was tragic hero. But here the thing is that both are discussing the art of characterization, as Shakespeare was outclassed in making the characters, and Shakespeare was going to deal with the life of character, as Shakespeare was working within the characters. He was on working within the character, as same the Marlowe was having the great art of characterization, and that was also the fundamental aspect of that age. And the very next point is structure and element of humor. So humor is being used by both, as we know in the Canterbury Tales. If you have done with the Geoffrey Chaucer, why Geoffrey Chaucer is famous? Geoffrey Chaucer basically is discussing about the humor. Hopefully you have done with the history of English literature, and Geoffrey Chaucer and Canterbury Tales. Same is the case here, that Shakespeare is also using humor, and as well as Marlowe is also using humor within the character. He is showing, both are showing the real sense of characters. And the next one is comic scenes. Yes, very important one in the history of English literature. In general, comic scenes, Marlowe tragedy, especially in Dr. Faustus, have very little warmth or genuine humor. They never form a part of the organic whole. Such scenes of Marlowe hardly bring any comic relief in his tense and very serious tragedies. Such scenes are generally very low and cheap, often full of pure pranks and the coarse buffoonery. Hence, some of the indictment critics opine that they are interpolations and not from the pen of genius like Marlowe. Anyway, it seems Marlowe badly lacked in the divine gift of humor. Shakespeare possessed the gift of humor. Yes, Marlowe was not extraordinary in the terms of humor, but the Shakespeare was all in all, and Shakespeare was going to fill that particular gap which was being created by Marlowe. So with that, we have come to an end to our today's lecture. We have discussed the Marlowe and Shakespeare, the writers of tragedy. We have discussed the influence of Marlowe. We have discussed the very common themes like blank verse, and we have discussed difference in personality and genuine and tragic hero and characterization, and we have discussed art of characterization as well as structure and element of humor, and we have discussed comic scenes. So with that, we have come to an end. Thank you.